arcade places are dying, and I'm only saying this. It's really just to kind of bring us up of like our really just a topic to really bring us up, like where we're like our favorite memories of going to arcade.
You mean a topic to age us?
Yes, 100%.
Everybody,
but I went to those too, so don't
you
even.
made it in your time.
Yes,
Dave and Buster's doesn't count, Curtis.
It has to be nickel.
So just I wanted to hear some experiences that you guys can remember back.
I say Ricky start, bro. Me and you.
Oh, dude,
tell them about our nickel days.
We were pretty good at nickel. I'd be the guy that at Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that liked to beat the other guys. I was like, yeah, because they're all like, there's always like a little tournament going on. I go in, I'm like, dude, I'm actually good. But what we had a lot of fun on, and it's weird, but we loved it, was all these like the DJ games and the drum games.
Super.
That was where we were at for some weird reason. This dude's really good at it. I'm like here, but I can't believe how fun the drum game and the DJ game were.
I loved the drum game and the DJ game. I legitimately would like feel like I'm a DJ when I'm doing it, because I'm like, I am doing some, it's basically like a Guitar Hero. The things go down, you got to turn the turntable and this and that. There's times where I'm just like full sets, 3 minutes long of just this rolling and this. And I'm like, little kid rolls up, mommy, what's that guy doing? I'm like, hey, what up, my boy? I loved, and the drum game, man.
Oh, the drum game was so good. I'd be bummed out because it'd be broken like 1 out of like 3 times we went, and it would bum out our whole trip. We're just like, dang.
I'm not gonna lie. There was a couple times where Ricky and I were gonna be the biggest dorks on earth. Brought our own drumsticks.
Did you really? I forgot about that.
Because you're an athlete.
Pull them out of my back pocket. Blow them. Just kind of finger twirl them like
drum line in it.
I got next, buddy.
You just see Ricky start doing the drum line.
That's when you know you're good when you're holding underhand.
All right.
That's so.
Did you guys have like a specific place that you went to for arcades?
Him and I together would go to Nickel. That's what we did like in high school time, which was early 2000s, because I graduated in 2003. He graduated 1 year before me.
Nickel, Taco Bell right afterwards.
So
that Nickel's been around a long time.
Yeah.
This is an arcade that's out here in California.
And that Taco Bell is probably where I could have set a world record. For what, Ricky?
Dude, this fart, like me and his brother were...
The world's loudest.
Dude, we were sitting on...
It echoed through time.
We were sitting on the table, and we're just eating. The whole table starts vibrating.
Still talking about.
Yo, this thing was like gnarly.
The room was like the perfect empty. The table was like the perfect vinyl material. I was wearing like the perfect shorts. I woke up Lazarus again for the second time. It just rippled through time. It was the greatest ever.
It is. It's still rippling. Here it is. It's still going.
That's where we went in high school. But I grew up going to a place called Cameron's Arcade in Santa Ana when I was a kid. Not before I met Ricky, with my brothers. And it was what you see in, Stranger Things and all that stuff, where it's like, it was a straight up, slummy, people with cigarettes, just grinding away games. And that's where I really feel like I fell in love with like stand-up, arcade games. I think I played them probably at the same time when I discovered NES. So it's like I still had the two, but I loved them both equally.
So growing up on the Northeast, like when I grew up with all the arcades around where I lived, I want to say there was one in Milford called Smiles that closed maybe like 7, 8, 9 years ago now. Okay. I want to say they were like the last original one in Connecticut. As far as the Northeast, they kind of like died out after a period of time. Now, of course, the barcades are back. But you guys, it sounds like Nickel survived, right?
So there's a Nickel right now in Garden Grove.
Is that the original?
No.
Oh, it's not. So they reopened that.
But what's good about this place, and I actually highly recommend going, is they're massive and everything's like a nickel or 10 cents. So you're playing these games when you go to Disneyland, the giant Pac-Man things, where it's like $7 to play. There's like 10 cents there. I mean, it is pretty much a scene, though. Everybody knows about it, so there's a lot of people there. But I won't say it doesn't have that arcade feel like, it's like a lot of, young kids being crazy, which I guess is. But for us, I like to see, guys our age, like slinging quarters and, just talking crap and all that. But
I'm curious. So you kind of grew up in like the arcade capital of the world, pretty much, like Chicago with Midway pinball machines. Like, is Stern based out of there too?
Bally's.
Oh, Midway was in Chicago.
Yeah, Midway, Chicago. Yeah. Like, what was it like growing up in that scene as a kid?
So there was a lot of arcades, but it was like every mall that you would go to would have like an arcade in the mall. Not always big, not always giant, varying games, right? Smaller, some, space was probably not cheap in a Chicago mall, I guess. I don't know. They would have maybe 20 machines, not like this epic arcade, like, that you're talking about. You go.
Okay.
there wasn't these big sprawl. There was a couple, like Galloping Ghosts is there, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Were they around when you were a kid?
I didn't know about them. I'm like from the north side. That's way south side arcade. I still have never been. So yeah.
To Galloping Ghost.
Yeah. Well, I don't live in Chicago, but yeah. So I haven't gone ever. But it's like an hour or more to get there from where I'm at. So I just haven't gone. But there's like in Portland they have Ground Control, awesome arcade.
I've been there.
Yeah. So. There wasn't any of that kind of arcades where I was. It's just like everywhere had a machine, like every like Subway or sub shop.
You and I went there.
That had like 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Every pizza place seemed to.
Yeah, pizza place. Pizza Hut had a bunch.
If there was a Pizza Hut without Simpsons, it was like the world is broken.
Yeah.
Because that is at every Pizza Hut in the 90s.
Or Cruising the USA. Every single one.
Oh, that's true. Loved Cruising.
Yeah, I used to kill it on Dance Dance Revolution.
Did you really?
No. Oh. I couldn't get it. Dude, I had like 2 left feet trying to get that thing.
What would you say is, I actually want to hear from everybody, what's your favorite arcade game? But let's stay away from the easy answers of Simpsons and Turtles and the ones that everybody says. What was your favorite arcade game that wasn't the standard that we all talk about in every video of everybody talks about? If you can think back. I'm going to say...
Back then or currently?
I'm
going to say back then, growing up. What was your go-to machine? What was yours, Curtis?
Yeah, mine was Tekken.
Tekken 1?
Tekken 1, yeah. I used to love it, man. I used to love being like Eddie and being able to like do the whole like handstand twist on his legs, and I would just go through every level and just like beat people. I'd feel like a beast. And then like when you would die, you'd be like, I would be looking for change under the arcade.
Oh yeah.
And I was doing anything I could because my mom, she was like, I can't give you any more money. I'm like digging behind the machines. I'm looking for every little coin.
You always got to push the coin return button too, because a lot of times it just pops back out.
Just go all the way around. Yeah,
you got to go around the room.
And since Tekken came out probably, maybe like a couple weeks ago, I really love that game still to this day.
Ricky?
I got 2.
Let's hear it.
I'll go newer, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Okay. But older, I love Punisher on the arcade.
That's a good one.
It's really fun. It's
Where'd you play that at?
At my laundromat by my house.
Let's go. That's a good cab to have at a laundromat.
Yeah.
That was a great cab. Like I won't forget that laundromat because that's where my bike got stolen. That's the only reason I'll never forget it.
Classic. Ricky's uncles took it.
Yeah.
Too busy playing video games.
It was. I came out. I was like, "Did I bring my bike?" And then I see the lock on the ground. I was like, "Dang, someone took it."
It was like
locked.
Cuba's Big Adventure.
Times have definitely not changed.
Did you do the Pee-wee faint when your bike was gone? Fall over.
My favorite was like kicking on the ground.
So good. I would say my favorite arcade machines besides the common ones would be Strider.
Oh,
probably
Strider is one of my favorites.
Rastan. I put a ton of time into Rastan.
Sounds good.
And one that I played a lot with my dad, I think it was called Point Blank. And it was one of those like gun games, but it was a little more goofy, a little more fun. It wasn't like, Lethal Enforcers or anything a little more serious. Time Crisis was a big one for me too. I used to play a ton of Time Crisis.
Jurassic Park too.
Jurassic Park now, they have good games. The big cabs for Walking Dead, Halo, and Jurassic Park. Those are some big cabs. The Walking Dead one I think is Crossbow.
Oh,
that's
Daryl?
cool.
Nice.
Actually, today at the time of us filming this, that way we can date ourselves. I think today is the day, the new Call of Duty, you can play as the Walking Dead characters and play in the Walking Dead maps.
Are we playing tonight?
Really?
Absolutely.
That sounds awesome.
I know. I was
Really?
like,
That's cool.
I love
That's
that.
fun, yeah.
Yeah, those maps. All right, Chris, what about you?
I think Strider was one of mine. I was going to say that. I loved it. The other one would be Ghouls and Ghosts. I love that one. The super one, like Super Ghouls and Ghosts, not Ghosts and Goblins. Because the arcade version of that, which I think they later ported to the Sega, it was the Sega version. It's not the same as the Super NES one. But I played the heck out of that. And then Bad Dudes, which we talked about earlier. Like
Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. That was the name.
Bad Dudes on the arcade was so freaking awesome. Yep, loved them.
Nice. So I got a couple. I used to, for some reason, I just loved playing the Popeye game. I was a big Popeye fan.
I love the Popeye game.
So I liked playing Popeye.
I'm with you on that.
I don't know if this counts, or is out of like in the Turtles Simpsons realm. But Golden Axe, loved playing Golden Axe.
Oh, dude, I love Golden Axe.
And then Arkanoid, just gotta go Arkanoid with the trackball.
You know what we missed on?
Yeah,
Robotron.
Yeah,
Robotron's amazing.
We had a lot of fun playing Robotron. We had a buddy when we used to go to PRGE, the Portland Expo. We'd have a buddy who was like very big into adamantly trying to become one of the top players.
Yeah.
So we'd go with him. He'd be taught by all these guys, and it was just so fun to like understand, just like Tetris, any game, when someone who's a pro comes around and is like, "Hey, I'm going to kind of teach you how to play this game like with intent, right? Rather than just button mashing and trying your way, but you're like, oh yeah, right. I see Robotron just wiggling the joysticks, you know.
That is one of the most beautiful looking machines too.
It is.
There's one,
the sound effects.
Yeah, Lance and I've been looking at one. A guy wants to sell us one for retro. We have zero space for a machine anywhere, but like I want to buy that so bad. He sent us pictures, and it's like with the blue on the side. It's like, I think he only wanted $600, $700, which is
Send it my
pretty
way
good for that machine. You want it?
Too much to ship.
You know what game I surprisingly don't like on the arcades?
What?
Send hate letters to Curtis's address. Donkey Kong. Not a big Donkey Kong arcade guy.
Donkey Kong 3 is where they hit their pinnacle.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because I play and again, I enjoy them, but I never got like into them like I wanted to get into them, right? I always wanted to be like, you know, my kids like, you play games. I bet you're a retro gamer. I bet you love Donkey Kong. And I'm like, dang, Donkey Kong Country. You know, but,
You know which two I should have said instead?
What?
I should have said Alien versus Predator.
That's a good one.
But
Solid.
Captain Commando. I forgot I used to love that on the arcade.
Was that an arcade? Like
It was
Trying to remember that
Super
one.
Nintendo. Super Nintendo. It's fine. It's not as great as the arcade.
Still good,
the
though.
arcade, it's good, but the arcade version is like on a whole new level.
You know what else is good arcade? Bucky O'Hare.
Oh yeah,
It's a completely different game from the NES game, and it's a fantastic game.
I feel like every pizza place had a Cruisin' USA in it though. Like,
Cruisin' USA, Sunset Riders.
Guaranteed, yeah.
Sunset
I
Riders.
remember
Part of the
couldn't-
license.
I couldn't reach the pedal, so I would be like slamming it down, looking up over the steering wheel,
You know what I used to
and
love?
you would just jam into the walls and stuff.
Kill a deer
I hope
for
you
no
guys
reason.
have played this because I don't know the name. Something Safari, and it's where you capture
The
animals.
hunting one where you pull the
That
thing?
game is so fun. It's a game where
never
you drive.
played that.
It's actually like
It's really
stressful.
fun.
You drive a car and it's like bumping around crazy, and you have a lasso that you have to like while you're driving and capture animals
It was pretty fun.
for fun.
That was
torture
Nickel
animals. Oh, was
I've
it?
never heard of that one.
It's a fun one.
It's really fun.
You probably got in trouble nowadays.
You know what else is a really fun game, and I think it was on Atari too. Is Crystal Castles is a really
Is that
good
like the
game.
little bear?
Yeah, it's a little bear, and you go around.
Yeah, I like that game.
Yeah, and I don't know if I ever played it on Atari, but the arcade is freaking awesome.
You know what I suck at? Cubert. Horrible.
I never played it that much.
Yeah.
It's hard. Crystal Castles is similar to that.
Have you guys seen? This is off topic. No, it's not off topic. Have you guys seen Four Christmases?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, do you know what video game icon is in that movie?
Oh, Steve Wiebe. Yeah.
Steve Wiebe, but they never said anything. The guy who was a runner-up to Billy Mitchell
Well, the
during
same guy directed the movie that did King of Kong.
Got
They
it.
just Brought
King of
Wiebe
Kong,
on.
A Fistful of Quarters.
Yeah.
If you've watched that movie, Steve Wiebe
That's
is
what I
one of the
think.
main guys in it.
It's the same director as Fistful of Quarters.
And it's funny because I watched not even in the gaming scene. I'm talking, you take the gaming scene, which is a small niche, then the retro gaming scene, smaller niche, then someone who's going to realize that Steve Wiebe is like a 0.001%.
Just us two, yeah.
Seriously, when I watched the movie, I remember sitting there and I was in theaters and I was like, oh my gosh, that's Steve Wiebe. He's playing the Wii. He's
He's
holding
just
a
sitting on the ground or something in the
yeah,
movie.
with his wife there. He never said a word.
Yeah.
But it was just such a weird thing for them to throw in that movie. Thought I had to throw that out there.
Dang. Yeah, no, arcades
Nice.
were different. I feel like there's definitely some arcade graveyards that I feel like there's a guy in Santa Ana that has a bunch in his garage, and I see him for sale, and I'm like, man, what if I knew how to like fix one?
That's the guy.
Was it?
Yeah.
The guy you were talking to?
Yeah.
But like the artwork and all the arcade toppers and everything, man, that really brings you back to like that time.
Marquees are some of the most beautiful
yeah.
things within video game history. Also, like you said, toppers, like the Play Choice toppers,
Choice
like the little
toppers are
metal
so cool.
toppers.
I really want to play Choice 10. That's one thing I really want. How
I
many,
have a
how many do you
couple.
have?
I need my Mac.
I think I have 3 of them. 3 Play Choice 10s. Some of the
Really?
rarer games for it too. Yeah. One was just people bring arcade machines into the shop sometime, and I will
They're
buy
like,
them. Somebody
"Here's
brought a
this."
Play Choice 10. Yeah, they brought it in, and I'm
Now,
like,
does
I'll
the
buy
Play
that.
Choice 10 feel like an arcade because it's really just a Nintendo game, but it's still an
It's not.
arcade?
It does
Giant
feel different because you have a joystick.
It's a
which makes
different joystick.
Yeah, and it's a very small little joystick that you use to play. So it does feel a lot different. And the games that are on there, of course, are like Metroid. They're all the NES games.
Yeah.
Man,
Baseball. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
baseball.
thinking, I
I think,
forgot a good one would have been
1942 is a good one on there.
Rockin' Cats is a hard to find one.
Metal Slug.
Mega Mans are on there. Sorry, we're having our own conversation.
okay.
over-
Sidebar.
There was a game before Metal Slug that was by the developers, I think, of Metal Slug, which they took concepts for it and then made it Metal Slug, and that was a hit.
Okay.
But I'll have to look it up. or someone in the comments will let us know and we'll pin it. But there was a game before Metal Slug that looked exactly like Metal Slug, and for some reason it didn't catch on, and then they made Metal Slug. Oh, I love Worms.
So good.
Worms is a great game.
We're doing a Worms tournament at SoSal this year. Yeah,
really?
Come on
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a guy, Ben is his name. Ben, yeah, and Ben Padden, I believe, and he's going to be running a Worms tournament.
All right.
Which
all
one?
right, there we go.
I think it's Worms Armageddon.
Dude,
Okay, I love.
it's one of my favorite games, dude.
Well,
The first of many. I love that game, dude. We used to play the heck out of it.
I love it. Like when
yeah.
you shoot him and like, meow.
Oh yeah,
I think he's the only one that runs a worm tournament anywhere. But he was like, he loved the game, and there's a big following. Sounds like you're a fan of the game.
I mean, it's a cool game.
Yeah.
we in high school, me and some of my buddies, we would gamble like money, put all in, but we would do it for gummy worms. That was our thing. Like everyone being a pack of gummy worms, and then we like, all right, 5 worms, and the guy would win the prize.
Dang, that's pretty cool.
Gummy worms.
Nothing like a handful of handled gummy worms.
By everyone else, they're all moist. A bunch of gamer hands, Dorito fuel on it too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh, man.
Last question.
No,
Sorry,
good.
I have to. Is Cruisin' USA the most fun arcade racing game?
Ooh,
Probably not. I mean,
it's the most memorable for
ahead of
me.
its time.
Yeah.
You can murder deers, right? That's awesome, right? They took that out of the 64 version, right? When it came out.
I don't remember.
They had Rush.
I think
Fast and Furious.
What's the San Francisco Rush 2049?
And that was arcade
cool.
though.
Something,
Yeah, that was arcade.
Is it 2049?
I do love
Something like
Rush.
that. That one's
Rush.
pretty
It was
good.
like-
That's great. Yeah.
It's not racing then.
What?
I was gonna say Hydro Thunder because I thought it was
Hydro Thunder was great, and it would blow air on
Yeah,
you.
as you're going.
Yeah. I mean, you can't turn around in Cruising
Guys,
USA.
I just
That's
forgot
annoying.
one of my favorite ones. I'm sorry, I have to say it.
ahead.
Top Skater.
Oh,
was like
dang,
one of my
I forgot
favorite
about
games
that.
in the world to play.
Oh, and I just forgot my actual favorite too. Spy Hunter is incredible.
Really?
Yeah, that game. Is
I don't think I ever played the
awesome.
arcade version.
It's really hard to find.
And is it sit down?
No, there was a sit down and there was a stand up.
Okay, but
Do
you
you have a
like the
gas
stand-up.
pedal in it?
Yeah, it has a gas pedal and it had the steering wheel.
Oh, like the Super Off-Road Baja games where there's 4 of them and you just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
pedal.
Yeah, and it looks just like Spy Hunter on the NES version, but it was a little bit crisper, and the noises and the gameplay of it are incredible. It's like a $3,000 machine.
Really?
That's a really hard to find one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got one of mine too. Burger Time. That's where it's at.
Ooh, I like
Burger
Burger
Time's
Time.
good.
Yeah.
I had a Burger Time for a while.
I like going up to the top in Burger Time, and then you get up to the top and you just do the salt pepper up, and I pretend like I'm LeBron James at the start of a basketball game.
You'd start crying?
You just throw it. and then I flop and die. Right? Yeah.
Dude, Tim's gonna be mad. The NBA Jam.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, NBA Jam.
I mean, that's in the
downtown.
gimmies,
Yeah, that's the obvious, right? That's the low hanging fruit. We know.